We're back.
Hello.
Hey, guys. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Carvers and Creators, a weekly demonstration and discussion with sculptors, carvers, and multi-talented artists from around the world. If you're a fan of our show and you like what we do, give us a like and a follow. And also in the comments section, let us know where you're watching, because we do love that international thing. That's pretty fantastic. The big time change.
Why not? Why not?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, let's meet the artist. Look at the big fella over here. He is my good buddy and amazing artist from Tucson, Arizona. It's Mr. Matt Harper. There he is over there. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. I'm right next to you in this picture. This is good.
Hey, Matt.
Superman. I love it. My name's Paul Dever. I'm an artist and sculptor from Boston, Massachusetts. And our guest tonight is a master ZBrush trainer and digital sculptor from Burbank, California. Please welcome Ian Robinson.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me.
Speech! Oh.
Hey.
Finally, we get you on the show. I've been chasing you for a couple of years, it seems like, right?
It's been a little bit. Yeah. We kept missing each other through text
Trips
messages.
in the night.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's great to have you here. Appreciate you joining us. It's
Thanks,
gonna be
man.
fun.
Yeah, and already here, I think this might be a pal of yours. We got hey bro, can't make it, but so that we already got that one, and then we got our buddy Johnny already chiming in. So we got we're rolling. This is good.
I love it. Well, again, thank you guys for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
Welcome.
It's gonna be great. So, okay, what we do on the show, obviously, if you have seen the show, is we take a sculpting challenge and we talk to amazing artists like yourself. Before we get into it, we have to see last episode's carving challenge, and it was a smug. Was it a troll?
Troll.
I think it was a smug troll. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we ended up doing. Yeah. There's
There
mine.
you go. That was a smug
cool.
troll. I love the folds around the nose.
Yeah, he's got that look like I just did something really nasty. You know?
Yeah, like you didn't flush the troll toilet or something gross. Right. Like a troll would, you know.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Right.
Yeah, really captured the expression. It's so cool.
Yeah,
thank you. Nice. This one was great because it was so thick that I could do ears and I didn't have to bolt them on. It was just like this was just carved out.
Oh wow.
Dug them out.
No glue on, huh?
No glue, nothing. Yeah, this is all just the skin of it. And sometimes, Ian, we have to, like, if you want a bigger nose or you want horns or something like that, you cut them out of the back and you stick them on with our favorite super glue. And the people at Gorilla are probably watching now because they're ready to sponsor in a minute, but that's us. But this time I literally had so much to work with. I could just dig around it and made good ears.
They came out great too. The anatomy, the makeup of the ear is perfect. And would you have a deep wrinkle on the forehead there that kept the rind in play? Because that looks pretty cool too.
Yeah, that was already there. I was really happy about that kind of that cut. That it was just part of the fold of the thing, and I just tried to leave as much like orange as I could, like on his chin and stuff. And
dynamite, love it.
Oh, come on! But guess what? Guess what? That thing is now in the belly of about 10 different javelina behind our house.
Oh,
this
wow!
was awesome, Paul. Yeah,
kind of Elvis-y, I guess, huh?
Well, the hair makes it really cool. I mean, even that little curl detail and you got the warts and stuff like that, but it just makes it a whole nother level. I know this was a butternut and not a pumpkin, but I mean, it's just really, really what's the word I'm looking for, Ian? Expressive. I mean, this thing has tons of expression.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta say it. I don't know if you guys remember the Ghostbusters cartoon back in the day.
Yeah.
But this looks like a little bit like a nicer Boogeyman version, which I'm digging. That's really cool.
Oh,
all right. You're jogging my memory, so I'm actually going to hit the old Google machine on that one.
Do it. Yeah.
Because I have a tendency to like see something in my head. Now you might even be right there. Ghostbusters Boogeyman.
The funny thing is, a lot of times, so as you know, you may not know, but we don't usually, we start with like no reference. So we kind of jump in this thing with both feet, and like everything that comes out of our minds is either stolen in our minds from amazing artists like yourself, or from other really great, sculptors and visual effects folks, and even mask makers. Paul, I don't know about you, but every now and then I went to Mask Fest and looked at a bunch of really cool ideas, and then I went to Immortal and was like, holy shit! I found so many cool like just killer wrinkles, and then they have them in clay, and usually like multiple angles of them, like we're gonna see tonight, ZBrush. Anyway, it's just really cool, really cool.
No, I agree. Well, I mean, it's only stealing if you copy it. It's inspiration otherwise,
right?
Because you're you're just using a specific little part or wrinkle or whatever. But well, thank you. And can I just say, what kind of savant are you to remember that character from Ghostbusters? Because even looking at it, it came back to me after like 2 or 3 different pictures, and I'm like, oh, I remember that.
So, fun fact, that thing scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. So it is burned into my
That'll
memory.
do it. Yeah.
Actually, a good buddy of mine very recently, like a year ago, he made his like fan art base of that boogeyman, and I just came into my Discord and he was sharing his screen. I looked at his screen and it actually made me jump. I was like, oh my God, dude, what are you sculpting? He's like, remember the boogeyman? I was like, you just gave me nightmares. Good job.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, I love that.
All right. Well, on that note, now that we've seen the sculpts, it's time to introduce you to the third member of Carvers Creators, responsible for our carving challenge tonight. It is the Hello Wheel, the Sinner Spinner, as we like to call it. And Matt and I get very antsy about it. And
but he's taking the challenge with us tonight, Paul. Don't forget, he gets to get antsy too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. He's going to take the challenge. And it's, I mean, for us, it's a challenge. For you, it's not going to be much of a challenge at all, being a master. Like that. I want that put on my business card. Master of none.
I'm a student. I'm a student for life when it comes to art, man. So, we always got something to learn.
Aren't we all? Well, Ian, Ian. We are going to spin this bad boy twice. The first time we spin it will be the character to which we are going to try and carve or sculpt digitally. And the second spin will be the emotion or attribute that we're going to try to apply. So our choices tonight are old age, guest choice, vampire, troll, werewolf, ghoul, frank, zombie, fantasy, or witch. Second spin will be angry, smug, crazy, guest choice, robust, sour, sleepy, chipper, scared, or surprised.
Ooh, I like those.
There will be updates to the wheel in December. We hold on to them through October and November while pumpkins still exist. So, are we ready?
Yes. We're ready.
Oh boy.
We just did troll. Can't do troll again.
Yeah, we gotta re-troll it.
The rare respin. It's very rare. That's very. Look at that. You get like a rare.
I love it.
Rare stuff.
That's gonna be troll again. Ooh.
Fantasy. It almost landed on witch, which would have made me even more mad because I think that was
we did witch before that. Okay.
This is like, we should really get on like FanDuel or something and put bets on this wheel. All right, and the fantasy character is going to be Sleepy.
Really?
Okay.
That's not. I mean, that's not as easy as it sounds.
It sounds.
Now you're talking about some weight in the face.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset about that. Can we redo the whole thing and just start over?
What? How dare you?
Just kidding. Okay, so I'm gonna put it to the chat. So tonight's carve is a sleepy fantasy character, which is terrible. I don't even know what fantasy character.
That's what a fantasy character is. You make it up.
Like a chupacabra or something like that.
No, that's a crypto. We did
that. Cryptozoology. Okay,
we had the same discussion about it. I put fantasy on the wheel so that I have an option to just make shit up.
Oh, see, there you go. I was gonna say, does aliens count? Because I guess they're real now.
Listen, I haven't seen one.
I haven't either. So not that I'm aware.
If they keep telling you they're real, that means they're real. So
right. If they're using reverse psychology, if we just tell them they're real, nobody will believe it.
Right.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's a good point. Well, before we start our carving, there is one thing we like to do as a tradition on the show, and that is have a toast and go around the horn and see what everybody's carving oil of choice is. Some people like beverages and spirits. Others like water and weed.
Yeah,
but Matt and I need it to lube the joints, get things all, get this inspiration going. You know how it is. Yeah. I feel a little limber. Music sounds a little better. Everything's going.
Yeah.
All right. So I am actually going to start tonight. How's that? Look at that.
Well, let's go ahead. Let me zoom in on you then. Okay.
All right.
Doctor.
And the only reason I'm doing it is to get it out of the way because I can't believe I still have one of these. But at Monster Palooza in June,
oh shit,
Our good buddy Joey Edwards gifted us some beers, and I found the very last one. It's Flower in a Kettle from Wayfinder in Portland, Oregon.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of a
It's a
cool
Pilsner.
looking
It's a beautiful beer.
Wow.
Thank you, Joey. I can't believe I keep finding them like Easter eggs. It's been.
You should, bring them to the front of your fridge, maybe. I don't know.
It feels like a little picture of Joey pops up in my wallet, like like a little thing. Every time I find a beer, I'm like, "Hey, Joey!" So thanks, Joey.
All right, Dr. Robinson, what are you enjoying tonight, sir?
All right, so I actually went a little harder, and I went with a 12-year age Redbreast whiskey. Actually, in honor of my uncle, who actually used to love carving pumpkins, and he loved and appreciated my art. And so, bring a little bit with him.
And wait, now hang on. That's a cool ass cup. Is that one of the ones where the half of it's frozen? The ice is on an angle. Oh wow, that's cool.
Has a little stop on it, and then you just put your water in there and then freeze it. So then you get like a perfect shot, and then you get your ice.
It's touching ice the whole time. Oh, that's so.
The whole time. That's perfect.
Christmas is coming, Matt. I'm just saying.
Well, I've never. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So Redbreast for your uncle. We're gonna definitely cheers that. And tonight I am having a. So in Phoenix, there's a place called Oso Brewery, and this one just looked good. So I'm a sucker for a cool label.
Yeah, I like that color too.
Top Cycle Blonde, and it's what's in it? It's lemon raspberry lager. So it's gonna be delightful.
Wow.
Nothing sounds bad about that. I got to admit it.
We don't know. That's the beauty of trying something new. You just never know. And I have a backup plan. A whiskey and Coke just in case.
I love how it's a backup plan, but it's almost empty.
It's a when you pre-party. Okay, sorry.
Well, it's a fire drill. It's like a fire drill. You got to make sure the exits are clear. You got to make sure the plan works.
Exactly.
Well, to your uncle,
cheers
and
to your uncle. Cheers to you.
Thank you. Cheers,
Everybody
guys.
Cheers. At home.
Guys. Yeah. Oh, I actually like that.
Oh, that's
I want to have another
good?
one.
Nice,
like
nice.
Light, a little fruity, just like me. Okay. All right. I digress. I apologize. And here.
Right. So let's get into it. I mean, so this is how we usually like to start off: is how did you get so immersed into digital sculpting? Because that wasn't your original career, right?
It was not my original career, no. Actually, it's a little bit of a story, but basically, I used to do manufacturing aerospace CNC work, and I did that for about 12 years. And then I found my way into 3D printing because in aerospace, believe it or not, 3D printing has actually been there for quite some time. And so because of that, I was so interested in what 3D printing was and what it could actually offer that I actually was like asking friends of mine, like, hey, what is 3D printing? What is this whole process? And so with a couple of Google searches as well, I found out that there's this little program called ZBrush that ultimately was doing these statues. And a buddy of mine confirmed it, he worked in the film industry for a long time. He was a prop maker. And so he was like, yeah, we use ZBrush. It's this really cool program. And so I was like, well, I have no idea what that is. So he was like, yeah, let me show you what ZBrush is. I think you'll dig it. So he hooked me up with like one of his licenses, because you got 2 at the time with Pixelogic. And so he just showed me a couple things. And believe it or not, 5 minutes into starting ZBrush, I shut it down real quick, fast, and in a hurry because I was so frustrated with it. I had no idea like what it was or what it was trying to be. And it's just like every artist who knows ZBrush knows this. When you start up the program and you just draw something, it's like these squares everywhere that's just doing a thing.
Yep.
And so from there, I was just kind of confused by it, but he ended up helping me out, which is pretty cool. And then so basically,
how long ago was that, Ian? Like
that was like 11 years ago. About 11 years ago. Yeah. Okay. So I dabbled with it a little bit, and I eventually left aerospace and fell into graphic design for the film industry, because I had a lot of like random talents in the background. I used to do photography, Photoshop work. I learned Illustrator at one point. And so he got me an interview. The same buddy who introduced me to ZBrush, his name's Travis. He got me an interview, and then I just basically from there just kept crunching away at ZBrush because it actually bothered me. It bothered me that this program that is designed to make sculpting amazing and unique was so complicated and there's so many layers behind it. So I just needed to know like why this program is the way it is. So it's pure tenacity and stubbornness. It basically set me up for that. So yeah, I just kept crunching away. But then here's the thing. I didn't know anything about ZBrush whatsoever, but I knew it was a sculpting application. So I started looking up traditional sculpting and watching those videos and how people would apply traditional clay like Monster Clay or Sculpey and actually work with sculpting. And I was like, oh, I'll just try to apply those techniques inside of ZBrush. So add a string of clay here, weld it together, and just kind of did that for a while. Fast forward a few years, and the pandemic hits. And at this time, I'd already picked up some freelance jobs and some odd little ins and outs things. And basically from there, I was like, I need to get better at this program because I'm not really getting paid what I would like to get paid. I'm not really at a job that I like, but I know I can do better. So the pandemic came in, set everything down. And from there, basically, I just started taking a class 3D character workshop. So it was actually run by Shane Olson, who's a good friend of mine now. And he basically just sat there and like kind of just like told me, you know, you gotta like come in and just work really hard. I'll critique you. you want to do characters, you want to do games, you want to do film, whatever you want to do. You just need to ultimately like just put yourself out there and, you know, really just learn the basics and get really good. And I told him, I was like, well, just push me as hard as you possibly could. Like that's more important than anything else. So he sat down with me for like a good 6 months during 2020. And he just really helped push my skill set to the next level. And then from there, I had a couple like really lucky breaks. I had some friends who really just sat there and said, you know what, you know, I know you're looking for work. I think you're pretty talented. So what we're going to do now is just basically like, I'll just, anytime I can, I'll put your resume or your portfolio out there. And so through 2020, I ended up getting a job at Coach.com, ended up working a few odds and ends jobs as well, ended up making like this really cool T-Rex character. And then that landed me a job at Funko. And I was with Funko for almost a couple of years when Pixelogic got bought out by Maxon. And I skipped a big chunk. I eventually became a ZBrush Live artist. You know, I applied to that because I thought that was something that, you know, would validate me as an artist. And anyway, yeah. So ultimately, they bought him out and then they put up a job application. We're looking for somebody who has a YouTube, you know, who can do YouTube videos, who can do tutorials, who can present, has good artwork, kind of knows at least a good chunk of ZBrush. And I was like, it's kind of me, I guess.
You kind of hit it out of the park. Yeah, you got it all.
So one of your first jobs was the dinosaur?
Yeah, that was one of my first like big commercial jobs.
Maddie, we have a little video and a photo of that. And that was for Coach, like the very expensive ladies' handbags?
Yep, that is it. Coach.com.
Anybody who's
look at that
one. There it is.
Yeah.
So this was early on?
Yeah, this was early on. Yeah. And this character was super cool because it ended up being a part of like this big animation. And they were like, we want this giant billboard animation where this T-Rex kind of comes into the store, grabs a few purses, wrecks things, and then leaves. And I was like, that sounds awesome.
I want to look at that again. That's so cool.
What's cool about this is I call this my $10,000 T-Rex because that was ultimately what I charged for it from start to finish. I was on the project for a little over a month with that and worked really closely with the animation team, with the concept artists, and we were going back and forth every day, 8 hours a day. And yeah, it was really, really fun. And then that's what landed me the job at Funko because they were like, oh yeah, guy knows his stuff. So, wow. And most of my portfolio was fan art. So like, I tell a lot of people that like, when you're getting into anything that you like, you know, or you're trying to learn a new thing, just kind of do something that is, inspiring to you.
Exactly.
So
that keeps you interested.
exactly. Yeah. So I used, I loved anime. I loved like random, trendy, like pop culture references. Like I'll just put a Deadpool mask on at some point, maybe. so it's just, so I'm just like, I just like weird stuff. And so I just would sculpt that, just stay interested when times were tough,
Speaking of sculpting real quick, we're going to keep jumping back and forth to what Ian is making in real time. And he's starting with a pumpkin, and he's going to quote unquote carve it into our sleepy fantasy character.
Sleepy fantasy, which I'm still secretly thinking about.
Yeah, same here. We have no clue what I'm doing. But yeah, this is great. Okay, well, I just want to let the group know that we are going to be showing this, and this is actually happening. This isn't just some really cool video that you finally.
Yeah, it's infuriating. I haven't gotten to this point in a full year with Nomad. I just tried the other day to do it and got lost on the stem because you had to mask things off and twist them and.
Mm-hmm.
So great. I just love watching the process because I still can't. I mean, I haven't even tried. I mean, I guess I tried, but I got so frustrated. Like fall.
A lot of people's stories are the same, Matt. Just like
Ian.
You open it, you go, why are there so many fucking shapes? And then you shut it down.
Yeah. Here, I'll do this in real time. Check this out. So here, I'm gonna call this this is my fantasy. You're gonna watch me not know how to spell, by the way.
I'm the worst. Nobody beats me. I can't even write Frankenstein because I can't tell if the I goes before the E.
Frankenstein. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Frankenstein.
So here, I'll show the audience too. If they're new to ZBrush, I'll actually come in here. Like we'll do this. We'll do a fresh start. Check this out. This is how fresh we'll get. This is the thing that always just like, and I'm telling you, I was like 5 minutes in to like not knowing what to do. I was so confused. And this is what made me like, I left ZBrush after the first 5 minutes of opening the program. I ended up like leaving it for like a month almost until I did find a little program back in the day called Sculptress. And I played with that for a little bit when it was like early beta stuff. So this is ZBrush. And I remember like, oh, there's the hide button. I found that. And then I was like,
yep, there it is.
I was like, what is this? And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, oh, cool. I could paint. I was like, oh, this is cool. But then I was like, now what?
Yeah, how do you even get rid of that?
And then I remember I clicked. I was like, oh, I need a 3D object.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that didn't. All right. And I was like, oh, cool. I have more 3D objects. But then this was basically, and I was like, okay, there's brushes here. But then I was like, all right, I don't like this. How do I clear it?
Exactly.
I was like, what do I do? And so I remember this was absolutely like my first interaction with ZBrush. And so then I was just like, well, here's the X button. And I ended up closing it. I was like super frustrated. If I only knew then that, Control N clears that little canvas for you, that would have been a something to know back in the day.
So jump forward 10 years now that it's on iPad and functional. How do you clear it on iPad?
So there's actually a little spot in iPad. So we put this actually on there. So I have my handy dandy iPad.
Handy dandy.
Yep. So we'll try to do it this way. I didn't set up to stream.
I guess we did on you. Yeah. So we can see you.
Yeah. But if it happens to you on iPad, because there is a known little thing that sometimes it'll pop up like that, and then you're like, oh, how do I end up clearing that? So actually, you open up the top menu, which is the little gear icon, and then there's Canvas, and then there's Clear.
Is there step backs too for like sort of an undo for each step?
Yep, there absolutely is. Yeah, you have a whole undo history for every subtool.
All right.
So we even separated our subtools menu, so they're a lot easier to find, so you can see them. And then if you have undo history, which is right up here, then you can actually go through the undo history. Pardon me. So yeah. So
red brush.
Nice. Yeah, that's huge.
Holy
you gotta
crap.
have that.
Yep.
Now I feel like I can run ZBrush because now I know how to completely undo all my mistakes.
That's the way to do it. But yeah,
layer.
Yeah. So we know that this is one of your, I guess, more. I've seen. Actually, we have a fun. Yeah, I love this one. Is this from the iPad too, or is this relatively new?
Yeah, this is new. So I did this on the iPad as well. Yep.
Okay.
I'm a recent fan of the Terrifier films because a friend of mine who I think she's in here, Michelle, she ended up she was like, "You got to see this movie," and I was like, "All right." She's like, "You like horror films?" So I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah." Well, you know what? We'll go ahead and check it out. And dude, the movies are so funny to me. So I'm like, you know what? I did.
I love how his head. I love how his head is actually severed. Like, you know, you can see the bones and the sinew and everything glistening in the background.
Thank you,
So
thank you.
cool.
Yeah, that's one of those things where sometimes I'll just do a random bust, and then I'm just like, yeah, I don't really know what to do with it. But this time, I'm like, slight spoiler. If you haven't seen Terrifier, I won't tell you how or why, but there is a part where his head is severed. So I was like,
oh no,
this would be pretty cool.
Well, I was going to watch that tonight, but no.
Yeah, now I don't need to.
Jesus. Guess
Oh,
cancel
no.
my
That's not even
subscription to Shudder.
No. Go watch it. You'll be like, that's not even. That's nothing.
That's nothing compared to the rest of the movie.
Yeah. I've only seen a couple of clips from it. It looks funnier than it does scary.
It is. Yeah, it's really funny. It's like, kind of like I would classify it as more like do you remember the Grindhouse horror films back in the day?
Yeah.
Like it's like really campy, but also you're just like, I can't believe they decided to go that route. And you're not quite sure if you should be scared or if you're just gonna die of laughter. That's kind of how Terrifier is. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. I like it. Now this might be my favorite piece of artwork that I've seen. It's
thanks, man.
awesome.
The texture is like ridiculous. Like that's wild.
And the bandages.
Pull that much texture out of it.
Thank you. Yeah, I really love this piece. So this piece was very much a one day. I was actually hanging out with my kids at Universal Studios, and I walking to the car, and I saw the sticker of the Santa Cruz hand, and it was a zombie kind of like mummified version of this, and I was just like, I took a picture of it immediately. I was like, I hope nobody thinks I'm creeping on their car. I just zoomed all the way and took a photo. Came home, I was like, I have to make that. Like that has to be 3D. That's awesome. That's exactly how that started. So
I feel like anybody that, especially back in the day, like when I started, I think I was in high school or something, but instantly had to sketch that out or try to, because it's got the articulation in the fingers and it's just such a cool image. But to see it in 3D is even better. Like in the back of the throat, I don't know if you could see it, but it's Matt. Check out the back of the throat. It's so gnarly. It's dynamite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I'm glad you guys like it. Yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces, actually, as well. I really just enjoyed the process. I also had this thing where, I used to be really terrible at sculpting hands, and this was one of those times where I'm like, I don't care how bad I am at it. Like, I have to do this piece.
You got over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll call it a success. Yeah. Wow.
Thanks.
So cool.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All you.
I was gonna say this is a mix of so everything you see on the model, as far as like the wrap texture, the skin texture, even the little details in the teeth and on the tongue, all that is ZBrush. But I did end up doing a lot of render passes with BPR rendering inside of ZBrush, and then I took all of those out and I brought them into Photoshop. Because again, I used to do a lot of Photoshop work for beauty retouches and stuff like that for the film industry. And so I was like, I know Photoshop. I brought it in, and then I just started layering all of those render passes until I got this.
Oh.
I think that's such a huge feather in your cap, though. Some people might get stuck or pretty much think that the project's finished. It's never finished, obviously, but think that this is as far as they can take it. But having different programs in your background, you're like, now I can move it over to another program because I know I can add so much more to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love and bouncing between programs is like the coolest thing to do. Knowing which format of file you can take from one program and just dump it in another and have all the same functions but different bells and whistles.
Yeah, it really is important to the creative process of staying creative, and because especially like like I said earlier, I'm definitely consider myself a student of art for life. Like, I know like my title is like senior master ZBrush trainer. It's like, but as far as it comes from the artistry, I'm definitely still a student of that. And it's like sometimes you get stuck, and sometimes you're just like, I really don't know what to do from here. And so sometimes it's like, okay, I'll walk away for a day or two from a project. I'll come back, I'll stare at it. If I'm still stuck, but I know there's more I can do for it, then I'll be like, well, what else can I do? And like you said, maybe I could take it to an application, or, sometimes maybe, well, that's just it. That's just done. I'll call this done for now. And then maybe in a little bit, I'll revisit it at some point in time. So, I think it's I think it's just kind of ebb and flow sometimes.
Matt, wouldn't that be nice if we had that option with Pumpkin?
Yeah, we have a very static medium in that case. Because I imagine you can also go back and say, hey, ZBrush, what if I could do this, and then have some of the geniuses behind the scenes like create some new, I don't know, texture or sizing or cutting and some other effective sculpting tool, right? Can you still do any of that? Do you ever like,
Fully editable, right? All you got to do is
tinker with the software stuff?
Maybe you mean like can you I got lost there for a little bit.
No, the question is more like, since you kind of have the do you ever like, as you're sculpting, because you can sculpt too, and we'll get to that, but when it comes to like, hey, I'm lacking in this specific area, or has ZBrush already figured that shit out? I guess that's, can you tweak the magic behind the scenes on what the computer can do?
Yeah, absolutely. So ZBrush is very customizable with what you're actually capable of doing. So I classify ZBrush as one of those tools that is a limitless program. If you can think it, you could pretty much sculpt it. The idea, though, is that, there's a lot of features. I used to joke, that for every dollar you spent, there's a feature. Because it's just never ending. You can literally come up here to like, Z plugins, and then here, and then look, there's options on more of that, or it's like I come in here to geometry, modify topology, it's like it always like is a few steps to get to a point. Or like any of the brushes, you come up here to the brushes, you have modifiers, and look, you got a plethora of modifiers. So if you can think it, you can end up doing it, which is,
Cool.
which I think in some regards, sometimes too much freedom, right, is a little bit of a hindrance, because it's like, oh, now I'm lost because I could do anything and I can't make my mind up. But in the case of ZBrush, it really is like, hey, just create something, just do it. I think you'll have a lot of fun. It'll be great.
That's really cool.
I usually start a project like that, and then 20 minutes in, I'm self-deprecating and saying, well, I guess you forgot how to do that altogether. I have no inspiration. And then it comes back to you like 2 hours in.
Yep. Yeah, I've been there so many times where I'm literally just like, okay, cool. This was I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna sculpt. Every artist has been there. I'm gonna do something. And you're thinking about it all day, and then you finally get there, and then you're like, I can't do anything. I can't do crap.
I've
happening?
lost it. I lost it. I had it, and it's gone.
Yep.
That almost, that's kind of like the artist procrastination thing too, right? Like you want to do it, the thought of it is like so amazing, and then you sit down and you start, and you're like, maybe I'll just take a nap. Like,
there's always that.
Do I want to just if I started it an hour ago, then I'd have the time, but now I got to really I'm gonna have to eat at some point, maybe tomorrow, maybe this weekend.
Yeah.
But then, because once you get into it, you're locking yourself in for hours at a time of like super concentrated work.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
I love this one, by the way. I saw the 3. Now you have this one available for file. You have a lot of them available as files, right? STLs.
Yeah, a lot of them I do. I did a lot of it for 3D printing, because when I decided I wanted to get into sculpting for a career, and I was like not quite sure how I can do it, I was still struggling to kind of understand the character art process, like, you know, being a character artist, or if I wanted to do texturing, or if I wanted to do environments. And because I had all this manufacturing background, which secretly I actually hated, I was like, I didn't really enjoy my experience at aerospace, because I figured I was just kind of young, naive, and was like, this is supposed to be a good job, and I'm not making good money, blah, 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 right? So I was like, maybe, you know, it's like I just kind of just didn't care for it. But at the same time, I sat with myself realistically one day, and I was like, look, you spent 11 years in manufacturing. You understand the processes of how something is made from a file all the way to reality. So just suck it up and maybe, you know, see if there's something. Like, you got a ton of collectibles and toys at home. Look at that. So, and because my teacher Shane Olson was, you know, he used to work on projects like Disney Infinity, if you remember that game.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I was like, what can I do? He's like, dude, get into toys. You have all this knowledge and background. Just do it. And I was like, okay, all right. So yeah, he helped me kind of guide my way in. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make everything I do for production. And at that time, I already had a ton of 3D printing printers, from like FDM printers to resin printers. I had friends who had objects and stuff. So I'm like, I'm just going to lean into this side of it really hard, and then maybe I'll pivot. I didn't really pivot. I still do stuff for 3D printing.
I just think it's impressive that you go from one thing and then you just have a natural ability, right? I'm assuming you didn't go to art college, right?
No, I'm actually, I'm a rare beast.
Right?
I'm self-taught. I couldn't go to, I just couldn't afford college. And I don't know if I was smart or dumb, but I was like, I don't want $90,000 of debt lingering over my head. And I know some people in the chat probably can relate to that. So it's like, I didn't really want or could afford to think about spending that kind of money. So I just ultimately said, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. You know, I'm just gonna try it and push really hard and see what I can do.
That's great.
We talked to so many sculptors who were traditional sculptors and Hollywood special effects guys long before there was, you know, computers and all that stuff. But they all are coming around. I think of Ted, for instance, like his ability to do ZBrush stuff and realizing that it's another tool in your toolbox, effectively. Yeah, because you have to end up doing a lot of that stuff to add to if you can do foam and makeup and all these other things. Well, this is just another thing you can do to make yourself marketable, just like everything you've done in manufacturing, but also in, you know, the makeup, Photoshop and everything else. So all of that ends up rounding you off more as an artist, I think.
Thanks. Yeah,
absolutely. And he can do some machining. That's pretty badass as well.
That's true.
Cut
his fingers off if he wants to, or try to. You know?
I sure could.
You can sculpt them back on and 3D print like a brace for it.
Right.
But you do traditional sculpture.
I do, yeah.
So there you go. Hey, we got a little something up on the screen there.
Yeah, so this piece here is my 23-inch Akuma made from medium servant. So I actually recently wanted to get better in this medium. So I actually took John Brown's sculpting course at Noman. And John Brown he's an amazing sculptor. And, you know, I asked him one day, I was like, dude, I want to take your class. I want to really dive in a little bit deeper into traditional medium. I'm doing digital every day. It'd be really cool to try to really dive in deep with, traditional. And he's like, dude, just come take my class. I'll refresh you. I'll get you really diving into it. We'll even just sit there and I'll tell you anything you need. You can ask me anything. And since then we became really good friends. He's a great dude. And now if I just need clay, I just call him up. I'm like, dude, we should sculpt something together. He's like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, that's so cool. That's a good friend to have. So tell me more about the place you go do that. What you mentioned
So Noman School. It's Noman Art. There's a school for it's basically one of the best leading art schools for any type of games or film. You want to get into games or film in general in the digital space. Noman is the #1 school to go to. And so they do all sorts of classes, but they also have traditional classes there as well.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
But this is in California, obviously, right?
Yeah, this is it's in and they actually moved recently. They were in Hollywood where my office is currently located, but they actually moved to North Hollywood. So new campus, but it's really cool.
We jumped over to you, and here you are, like already crushing it. Good Lord.
I quit. You can't compete with that. You can't compete.
It's got the warts on it, and Paul, Johnny says that they have online courses too.
Oh, nice.
They do, yeah. No Man Workshop. I think if you Google that, yeah, good shout out, Johnny.
I'm such a visual hands-on learner that like I do so much better when the person is in the same room with me. You know, if I have the like YouTube videos, like I've taken my car apart by watching YouTube videos.
Yeah,
doesn't mean I understand what I did. I'm just really good at following steps.
Yeah, you got the steps right.
Yeah, but yeah, something like art is so immersive, and I think to do something in person is pretty cool. If the option is there to do an online class, that's cool too. If they were live classes, that would be something.
That would be something. Yeah, I don't think they live stream classes on the regular. I do know they'll live stream some special events, but yeah, I'm with you on that. It's good to be in person and working with somebody. You know, we actually talk about it all the time because we're remote at Maxon, so sometimes it's just like, man, okay, I'll coordinate with my buddy Paul, and I'll be like, hey, Paul, you going to be in the office at this time? Like, because if so, then I'll be in the same day, and then we can we can run over all the stuff we need to. So yeah, there's perks to being into the same room.
Yeah.
Well, you usually do a lot of live streaming too. Do you have like live comments or anything in the streams that people can ask questions while you're doing it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, actually, I'm pretty well known for that. When I'm doing my live streams, I make it a point to try to answer every question that comes in. So a lot of people that know to come and watch me, they actually they know that they'll get their question answered. So that's kind of like my own little, hey, come check me out, but also too, I will answer your question. And if I don't know the answer, which I'm not afraid to admit, I think that's something that kind of helped me become a better teacher, is that, sometimes there's just a problem. I just can't think how to solve it right away. So I'll usually either think about it or I'll tell them, you know what, let me sit on that and I'll get back to you. And usually I'll get back to them within a couple hours.
That's great, because that becomes a teaching moment for you too. Because if you don't know the answer now, it's a good thing to figure that out so you don't have that problem again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did teaching come natural to you? Because I mean, when you go from like manufacturing and aerospace and all the things you've done, machining, did in finding that teaching bug, did it just like, wait, I really like this, or was it something that you had to kind of work at?
Ooh, so so a little bit of both. So I was terrible at public speaking for a very long time. But when YouTube started becoming really popular, like it 2006, 2007, when it was like blowing up, but live streaming wasn't a thing yet. Yeah. I was actually really into watching Call of Duty live, like commentaries, like people would like, just do their kind of thing and just be like, oh yeah. I'm doing a one-man army. And they would just talk while they're making their videos. And at first, some of them you're like, oh yeah, these are pre-recorded. But other ones, like this one guy, I don't know if he still does anymore. I think his name was like Extras or something. They would actually like be talking while they were recording. And I was like, oh my God. But like stage fright terrified the crap out of me. So I was like, I don't know how people do that. But I was so interested in getting better at public speaking that I would just like record my own stuff. So eventually I actually ended up running my own gaming channels and stuff like that with some friends. And then eventually I started teaching myself Photoshop because my dad was a photographer. I learned photography, but then I wanted to move into digital space. So I was teaching myself Photoshop. And what I found out was that like my best friend and ex, like I would go to her when I wanted to learn something new. And I would just be like, hey, you want to hear something? She'd be like, yeah, tell me something. And I'm like, okay, so in Photoshop, and I would just start like telling her a bunch of stuff, and I could just see the glossiness wash over. But then she would get excited because she was like, she realized at some point that I was telling her this not for her benefit, but because I needed to say it out loud so then I would remember it.
Yeah.
And so she would just happily amuse me in a way. She just, so anytime I was excited, she'd just sit there and like, yeah, go ahead, talk away. So then I was like, oh, okay, cool. But then where I really developed my teaching skills was actually, I used to teach Taekwondo, and I did that for about 6-7 years. And I thought I was going to, eventually be a full-time master instructor of that, because I really enjoyed it. It's great workout exercise and stuff. But anyway, my Kwanjinim, he was like, I'm going to teach you all about teaching. He's like, look, kids love candy. Candy's high five. Kids love high fives. Just reward somebody. If you're going to tear somebody down, he's like, reward them with something good, praise what they did, then break them until they can't really take any more negativity, and then lift them up again. And I was like, okay. And that's it. So I would just practice this over and over again. And then eventually I just like found out that I took to it. And not only now am I like teaching people how to do things, but I'm also teaching myself the same way. I go and repeat that process over and over again.
Cool.
So when you teach people, do you give them like a roundhouse kick to the head and then like waterboard them with Skittles and then give them a high five after?
Only if they talk back.
Well, if they don't get it right on the first try. I showed you where the backup button was.
Yeah, you don't remember Control N?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
He's like, Control P. Oh, Jesus. Then he just covers up.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Sensei. Yes, Sensei. Yeah.
That's why he has Master ZBrush in his title. He added that shit. Nice. That's boy, you've done a lot of stuff. That's funny. It kind of reminds me. We've had a guest on the show who's an amazing tattoo artist that was also a Muay Thai champion.
Oh,
and it's just like you mentioned that, and it's like, Jesus, how do you have time to master a martial art and still be a great artist? Like,
Dan Pemble.
Yeah. A mess. But no, you got to figure it out.
His name's Dan Pemble, and I remember like not only is he a champion himself, Paul, but he also like the instructor and all that good stuff too. So he's amazing.
It's in the blood. Like, look at all these fine artists that are also killers, straight out killers.
I guess you got to work out now and then too. That's kind of cool. Like you get our buddy John Fuller, who's like Mr. Muscles. Right. Decided he's a sculptor, but he's like, you know what? I can sculpt myself. Oh, you kick ass.
I mean, fun fact, I did start this year actually seriously working out. So yeah, it's important. Health is important. I think the problem with being a digital artist, and maybe even too, just being an artist in the creative world where you're always needing to create, you spend hours and hours. I mean, that Akuma statue, I think in total I put about 60 hours into it, and I'm not even like done with it. Like, it's still just sitting over here, and I'm like, I really should finish that. But it's like we put so much time into our craft, but then, what do we sacrifice, right? We sacrifice sleep, eating habits, and so for me, like, I'm 41 and I watched my dad have some health problems very recently. And I was like, you know what? Like, I personally don't want to see that as my future. So I've been making the effort to try to combat that. So I was like, you know what? I probably should go, go to the gym, work out, do some cardio,
put
just
down
like
the bread breast every now and then,
Exactly. Thin the blood. It's all good. I got a stack of vitamins over here that I take daily. Like, I've really just wanted to take care of myself, but for a while it wasn't. I mean, my heaviest weight, I think, was like 260 at one point.
How tall are you?
You're a tall guy, though.
I hide it well. Yeah, I'm 6'4" or 196 centimeter for all my European friends. Yeah, I'm tall.
Yeah.
It's a good thing this is virtual. My neck had hurt from craning up at the two of you. I mean, I'm 5'10". I feel like a midget.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, I agree with you. I mean, in a lot of career, especially art is you sit in stationary for so long, and then after you, I don't know about you guys, but I'm usually wiped out if I hyper focus like that for that amount of time. One, your back hurts, right, from sitting for so long. Yeah, and then you're sort of like, I just had such an adrenaline dump from like going into that space so long. It's just like, you know what I need to do? I need to sit a little longer on a different apparatus and probably watch a movie.
I'm more comfortable sit. Yeah.
No, so I try to hit the gym at like 4:35 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm at the gym at like 5 in the morning as well.
You gotta do it. Otherwise, you're dealing with 4 high school kids all posing in the mirror at 130 pounds on the same bench for an hour and a half. When you just want to get in and out of there.
You're not wrong yet.
No, you laugh because it's so true. It's infuriating.
You do what I do. I go swim in the morning.
You go at 5 a.m. Yeah, you swim every morning. See that? Look at that. But like the peak of physical, whatever it is, physical something. The specimens, all right.
Yeah,
speaking of physical something, I love this guy. And I know we've got a couple of different shots of it.
I love the coin. The coin. I mean, the sculpt's dope, but like the addition of the coin is. And I noticed you add this sort of when you do your renderings, it's got like a comic book feel.
Yeah. Well, I grew up doing like very loose self-taught 2D drawings. Back in the 90s, like I got into anime and comics because a friend of mine was into comics, and I just liked the vibe of it. And I also was just like, I never really, for me personally, I never really connected with like super realistic sculptures. Like hats off to anybody who can go like that extreme and do a 1-to-1 likeness. That is some skill that I just like admire. But also super stylized didn't really feel super challenging, or I was never satisfied with it ultimately. So I was like, I need to kind of make my own style if possible, but also kind of learn how to make sure I match a concept. And that was also another really important skill that my teacher Shane Olson had brought up. He was like, whatever art style you have, who cares? Match a concept, you'll get hired. Yes. And that was like number one thing. He drilled that into my head, and I was like, all right, yeah, no problem. Absolutely, dude. So I focused on that. Luckily, because I used to just draw what I saw a lot as a kid, like not so much still life, but like, oh, I'd see this like, I'd see Spider-Man, I'd draw him. I'd see Wolverine, I'd draw him. I'd see Wonder Woman, draw her. I would see, Johnny Bravo, draw him. Dexter's Laboratory. I was like, oh, so I would draw all these things.
All the Simpsons, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you go down far enough in my Instagram, there's Dragon Ball Z stuff I did back in 2000 when I was still in high school. And I was like, oh, just drawing that stuff from like VHS tapes where like I would pause it and I'd draw it as fast as possible, because that shit only gets like, it only stays on for like, 30 seconds and then it auto plays again.
Oh, I remember doing the same thing.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so I would just do that a lot. So I definitely related a lot to having, kind of a little bit of a comic-y feel.
I just think it's great that you sort of just, you love to do it. You decided you wanted to do it, and now you're doing it. And you're a master teacher. Like, God damn it.
Is he a master, Paul?
He's a master.
Yeah. So yeah, my official job title I'll explain. So my official job title is Senior ZBrush Master Trainer, and the master part comes in because we have a certification process at Maxon where we have 3 certifications. We have user, pro user, meaning you know how to use the software enough to get a job. So you're an artist, you understand the basics of it. So I would say like 20% of the program, the 80-20 rule. You got 20% of that knowledge, and that's driving 80% of your work. So, and then you have a pro trainer, somebody who is really good at teaching the software back. They know more than the pro user typically, probably about like 50, maybe 60% of the actual application, but they can teach it. And that's like, and like we were just talking about earlier, that's a skill in itself. Yeah. So not only can you use it, but you got to be able to teach it. And then there's the master certification of it. And so that is like, at least 90% of the application. You're an artist yourself. You really know how to use that tool, but you also understand industry pipelines, productions. You understand the ins and outs. You can problem solve, and you're able to really like assess, when something goes wrong, how, like, not just problem solving in the sense of like, oh, this thing went wrong, but like you can anticipate and kind of like, you're explaining why you do a thing that you do. Like when I tell somebody, okay, the knife brush crashes because your mesh is garbage, like the mesh is no good. Well, I'll explain to you now how you can prevent that. So it's like, and a lot of really strong artists, like guys that I was watching, like Raphael Grassetti, I would watch him do something And what I didn't understand watching him in the early phase of it was he was preventing most of his problems. And when people follow tutorials, I think this is kind of the big problem with the digital era of like YouTube learning, is that a lot of times you'll watch somebody and you'll do it exactly like they do it, but then it doesn't work. And you're like, I don't understand why. And there's like little things that person knows, and they do things to prevent that maybe you're just not catching on to. So you think you're doing it 100% the way they're doing it, but they're not. And so that's part of it. It's like, can you explain why and how you're preventing those things, so then people can get better, they can excel, and they can improve themselves. So it's a lot of like, it's like a lot more in depth in that way. So yeah. Plus too, like, you know, just the level of knowledge of like industry pipelines, like I said. And then I joke that I'm becoming a doctor. Actually, one of my friends, she's actually in medical school, so she'll send me a bunch of stuff. She'll be like, here's all this stuff, you know. It's just because like I do characters, so I need to know anatomy. I got anatomy books like on the floor, just stacked to the brim.
Yeah.
And just to get back on your point about when someone fails at watching a tutorial, it, like you said, there's a lot of subsets to a lot of those tools. So their interface might be just tweaked just enough in creative editing so that they just sort of tap a button, especially if they're using the mouse and all you can see is the cursor. And it's like they're doing it so fast and proficient that it almost like in VHS fashion, I'll do like the 10-second bump ahead and then frame by frame back to be like, where did that son of a bitch's hand just go? Like I'm missing one step right here and I can't find it.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, so that's where the master part comes into it. I'm actually certified by the company. Like, and not all the trainers get that. Like, we internally have to pass those tests as well. So
I was going to ask you, there's the testing. There's an actual, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I imagine you have to be, in order for them to be able to label you that, and then for you to go out in public and be that, there's probably some pretty rigorous testing. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense. Like Paul and I give each other tests after a bunch of these and say, you know, are you a master? And he says, yeah, sure. That's our testing mechanism.
Well, I've seen both of your guys' work, so I'd say you're definitely a master at pumpkin carving, because I mean that just like, honestly, like I have carved pumpkins and I would be embarrassed to show them. Yeah, no, it's amazing to watch. I love watching it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's super fun medium, and I think we've got. I hate to say it, Paul. Holy shit! What time is it?
Wow.
Oh my God, we're running out of time. I want to show more of your stuff because I don't want to run out of time and not like get. I mean, like the creativity, the texture.
That's sort of similar to what I'm.
Oh, there we go. Paul looks like you got your little guy going right there. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Keep that on for the remainder.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I gotta find I want it to be like a heavy look. He's gonna be sort of like that minotaurish. I'm gonna do the ears similar to that. So like the slope down the ears but yeah, hey, wow, huh? See what I mean? See, we were just talking about that. Like maybe it was in my head. Like
there we go.
Oh yeah, not even touch. I haven't touched any of this. I got to pull all this back to get this sort of a muzzle effect to it, and then I kind of wanted to have that the bowl intersection. Like they don't really have lips, but I like when if it's a fantasy character, maybe the bull got Botox. I don't know, because I like having some sort of a lip line gives it that cartoony fantasy look. It's not one thing or the other. It's just something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of having an open, like if you said it was like, you know, Dragon Ball Z and you had to carve a specific character, that's the painful part.
A lot of pressure.
We get kind of an open
canvas
idea. Yeah. We you know, if it's a fantasy, that's like almost as broad as you can possibly get. So I'm happy about that. I'll take it.
Yeah.
A couple more things to show. And in fact, I'm going to jump over to what you're carving there.
Wow, look at him go. Jesus.
Good Lord. He's got the wrinkles are going in. All right. I'm getting a little bit pissed.
Well,
so now, all right.
Not fair.
So if it's a jack-o'-lantern, right? I mean, it's easy enough. But if you were to put eyes in that, you would just add the primitive, like a sphere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would throw in a sphere or a pre-made asset that I've done before. Like I've sculpted eyes a ton of times, but yeah, I would just drop a sphere in there. In fact, here, I'll show you. So real quick, save your work, peeps. If you're working digital.
Always save.
Always
But
save your
here,
work.
so yeah, I would throw in like, let's grab insert and just hit a sphere for a second. And this is actually the cool part about
See how
about
quick you
looking.
jump in between orthographic views.
Good Lord, how does he? That's
He's
insanity.
got it down. He knows every hotkey. Look, he's doing a one-handed, or is there the second hand must be doing all the work?
He's
There's
actually
a
asleep
keyboard.
right now.
Dragon
Paul.
hand's doing all the shortcuts.
Yeah,
He's fast asleep right now. He's not even here. He just magic.
Yeah. So let me show you what's cool here. So if I take like what's called the clay buildup brush here, which just allows me to just add clay, right?
Yeah.
Well, now that there's a primitive in the way, I've selected the pumpkin again. So I can quick tap. I can press and hold Alt option, and I can tap which object I want to work on. So I want to work on the pumpkin, but now I have symmetry turned on purpose. But here I could just start like adding some clay up in this area. And what you could see is now it's starting to build up over here.
So you cut the workload in half.
Exactly. So I have the unfair advantage of working with symmetry, right? But
Well, it's as if the other sphere is there, even though you don't have one there yet.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's actually wrapping around this sphere here. So it's aware of the fact that that object is there, which allows me to then go in and fine tune and create that. So this is how I would approach doing eyes. There's other ways to approach it as well. Like if I didn't like that approach, I could just, use the magic of computer here. I can quickly duplicate that. So now I have two of them. And then maybe just like kind of blow that up a little bit. And then with like my knife brush here, I can actually come in here and just cut a section.
Oh, son of a bitch! There it is. That's what I was. Yep. Way easier than using the clay tool, because to get that smooth like that isn't going to happen.
Yep, exactly. And then I could just control duplicate that, turn that around.
Sweet Jesus.
Put that in there. Right now I have two eyelids, so then I could put this one here.
Then you can rotate them on the
eye. So you're only ever working on one because you just hit duplicate and it does the other eye.
Yeah, but see, then I can come through and boop. Now I got that over there on that side.
Good
and
Lord.
that on that side. So now that I would have eyes.
Paul.
Yeah, Matt, this isn't a fair fight. He's going to beat us. He's going to kill us.
No, I think I'm going to take all this stuff here and just.
You're going to mail it to me, and then I got to make something from that.
No,
honestly, I would love to come back at some point if you guys are happy, and I would actually if you guys told me like what kind of tools and stuff to actually use and stuff, I would try doing a real pumpkin too.
How about we make a deal? First of all, we always would love to have you back. We were going to invite you back anyway. How about we can barter? I'll send you the tools you need if you hook me up with some tips and tricks so that I don't break an iPad.
Done. Absolutely. Absolutely. You got a deal.
Sounds like a perfect trade to me. We'll teach you how to carve a pumpkin with the right tools, and you can teach me how to not break an iPad and kind of use just kind of use it enough to be dangerous.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Perfect.
Or enough to how to fix a mesh. That's a tough one.
I got you.
Scans are tough, man. Because I get they get the layered, like when you go around and the meshes don't line up quite, but you still export it anyway. And then I bring it in and I try to clean it, and it's just like layer on layer, and I can't mask it away. That's what I want to know. I'll give you a whole set of tools to learn that one.
Yeah. No, I'll hook you up 100%. I got you. Don't even worry.
Oh, cheers to that. Beautiful.
Cheers
Thank
to that.
God.
Yeah, and by the way, we certainly want to get as well as getting him back. I think the big thing too is, hang on a second. We got another comment here, just to make sure I get them all in here before we go. Have pumpkin IRL on both sides. Sparky face. Thank you. Yeah, I always want to get. We always want to get our guests like you back to take this challenge. But I have a feeling, knowing what you can do with just ZBrush and the sculpts we've seen, that you can pretty much. I think it'd almost be a race to see how fast we could get one of yours done and ours done. So I'm up for the challenge myself. I'd let's just do it. Let's just plan it. Huh, Paul?
Yeah.
You know what? It just popped into my head. This son of a bitch is going to carve with both hands. He's going to have like symmetry on, but he's going to be able to carve with both hands, and we're just going to be like, I can't compete with that.
Have you seen those
Oh my God, yeah, the guys
actually
with
have like
their feet.
2-3 pens and
Yeah,
they're
they're
doing
different
hands,
things
they're
on
doing it on the
everyone.
ground. Yeah.
okay, those are the aliens. I'm just saying.
They're the ones
That
who
doesn't
live
make
among us.
sense. That has to be a camera trick.
It has to be. Yeah, I
There
don't
should
know,
be
man.
no human with that kind of talent, and that's
I
somebody
know.
that's living in like a hut.
Yeah.
Like charcoal pencils they made themselves, and they're not famous. You kidding me?
100%. Yeah. Oh, that's
hate it.
amazing.
Unbelievable. Well,
Yeah.
I linked to your Instagram because you have a great link tree with so many spots. Guys, seriously, go down the rabbit hole. Ian's got some amazing stuff, and he can be found everywhere. And usually you're a live streamer, so that's another thing we love to see is people showing the art on a regular basis live.
Yeah, no, I used to stream every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm not streaming for the rest of the year, but come 2025, I will be starting my streams back up again. So look out for that. There might be a time change to that, but yes, I love streaming. I miss it. It's just this last part of this year has been crazy, but at the same time, that's kind of my job. I like it. They send me everywhere and I get to do cool, amazing stuff. I feel super honored to be a part of the community and just amazing artists. So it's great.
The dogs were even applauding you.
Thanks, Pops. What kind of dogs you got?
The loud
Loud
ones,
ones.
who think the mailman just showed up or something. But yeah, but you were in Korea. You were all over the place recently, right?
Yeah, I was in Japan recently, then Korea. But before that, I was in Amsterdam, been to Germany, been to Canada, East Coast. I'm usually over on the East Coast and West Coast, bouncing around. So yeah, just wherever there's ZBrush to be taught, they try to send me.
Like a superhero. That's
right.
like a master.
Put on the cape, and
That was awesome.
the master will get you
Wherever
there.
ZBrush is needed, I'll be there.
That's it.
Awesome.
Wherever
So
there's a
good.
man trying to figure out his mesh, I'll be there.
Heck yeah.
It's
I love it.
dynamite. Well, we can't thank you enough for joining us, man. This was a fun hangout.
Yeah, man, this is super fun. No, seriously, this was a blast. Thank you for having me. And
You're coming back
you
on.
guys
You're
do
coming back on.
amazing
We'll do a longer show. We'll just polish up. We'll all have some brown water like you had tonight. And yeah, next time we'll get pumpkins and watch out for the sharp tools.
Okay.
Yeah,
sounds
and
good to know.
if pumpkins aren't around, we can teach you how to carve a butternut squash. They're actually
Oh.
more fun, handleable, so you can kind of get in there and you don't have the bulk load of it. But yeah, butternut squash is just as much fun. And I'll make sure we get the addresses exchanged so that I can send over a set of tools to you.
Oh, that would be fantastic, dude. You guys are the best. Seriously, thank you.
No, you're the best, master.
Master.
Master. Oh, that's one of my favorite Metallica songs.
Oh, it's the best.
Oh, we'll have to send them a T-shirt too. Then the Masters of Pumpkin.
Master of Pumpkins. Yeah.
Yeah, we got it all. Well, this is where you can find us on our interwebs. We're on everything except for Christian Mingle at this point. I feel like we're
on plenty of fish, from I heard.
What?
Oh my God.
I didn't even know is that even still a thing.
That's a thing. I don't know.
I just love saying it. It's funny.
MySpace, something like that.
Yeah, my fish.
Oh man. Yeah. Man, they could bring MySpace back, and I think everybody would just flock to it immediately.
Oh, I agree. We need something else.
I never even shut down my account. I'm waiting.
Oh,
I'm good.
really?
Yeah.
I
Well, I
don't think
can't
you
get
shut
on
mine
it.
down.
He still has a Nickelback in the background playing, like while his picture's on there. Yeah, it's there.
Hey,
Okay,
look at this photograph. Every time it's in picture, it makes me laugh.
My MySpace was Umtis by Bloodhound Gang with a Street Fighter background. That's
Nice.
that's
Wow.
always what would play. That's any indication of who I am.
Just means you're awesome. That's all it means.
Yep. Yeah.
I love it. Love it.
Well,
Cheers, gentlemen.
that wraps up another one. So thank you everybody that tuned in. Ian, thank you very much for joining us, Maddie. So we will see you again next time on another Carvers and Creators.
Bye,
Night,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone coming.
Bye.
I love the Bloodhound Gang.